Hi guys, welcome back to the Cinematic Mike channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Matt Reeves, the Batman. I did a video on this last time called Matt Reeves, the Batman, my thoughts and all that. It's funny because when I made that video, the next day I had all these views and then I was all like, damn, I guess all you have to do to get views is make a Batman video, talk about Batman, and you'll get a whole bunch of views. And I had some comments where people were asking me, did you watch it? Did you watch it? And I guess I had done this the night before, and I guess the next day, because I was all confused, I was like, what the hell's going on? And then when I started seeing these articles on like, hey, somewhere out there was a screening of the Batman, and people are claiming that it came out like so good, and it's like a horror movie. They're comparing it to a horror movie. And so I was like, oh, damn. I'm like, okay. I was like, these people probably think that I was one of these guys that went to go see it or something. And I'm like, now I understand why. I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know. It just was like kind of funny in how it happened at the right time, I guess. And now today, actually, I was thinking about the Batman recently, and I'm like, I think I was just typing in. I was in my car and I was on Google, and then I think I just typed in Paul Dano because I was thinking about Paul Dano as the Riddler and all that. So I just typed in Paul Dano, and then Slash Film actually has some articles on the Batman today. Was a whole, I think they did an interview with a few of the actors from the film, the director also. And there's some news on the inspiration of the characters for the film, which was really interesting to me. The first one was Paul Dano, which was something we already heard about, which I talked about in the last video. And it's that Paul Dano's the Riddler is going to be it's inspired by the serial killer of the Zodiac Killer, which is something we already kind of know, I think, already. But it's amazing. And Paul Dano actually said something really interesting in the article, which kind of, because I was talking about it last time, where I was like kind of iffy on how they just want to ground Batman all the time, and it kind of takes away from that childhood part of me that kind of wants to see not too cartoony Riddler, not like way too, but I feel like there's a way they can make it, at least make it stand out as a comic book villain and all that, instead of just keeping it way too grounded the way the Nolan films did. Because I love the Nolan films, but I was like, oh, we're gonna go there again with it being too grounded. Can't we be a little bit more creative and imaginative, like the way Tim Burton was? I know his probably drifts off a bit too much imaginative, but it was a decent imagination right there. But I was like, oh, maybe we can do something right here with this. And the way Paul Dano's talking about it here, it sounds like maybe there's a chance that it's going to be something that I'm going to like. So let me see what he says. He said it right here. Let's see. I had to pull these up really quick. Which one is it? Okay, was it here? Right here, he says, I like how both grounded and big this film is at the same time. So there are some grounded forces like the Zodiac Killer, right? But it's still the Batman. And for me, it's so much bigger. So it was important to let my imagination react to the script rather than strictly basing it on a serial killer. So yeah, he didn't feel like he probably had to just be like, damn, I have to play this character just like as grounded so it could be as real as possible. He still took in consideration that this is a Batman film for Batman fans and all that, people that love these villains and all that. So he's probably gonna tweak it a little bit and put his, like, his skills in there. And Paul Dano's a great actor, I think. So I can't wait to see what he does with it. I like his costume that he has, but it'd be pretty cool if he had something kind of closer to like the comic book world. I don't need the whole pajama suit. He could just have a green suit. But it doesn't matter if it's not. I'm still looking forward to it. But I do want to see what he does with what he's talking about there, where he's like, I still use my imagination and I just stuck to the script instead of saying, I have to make this as real as possible. I'm hoping that's kind of what he's saying there. So I can't wait to see his performance in this film. The next one that really got my attention and made me be like, yes, was this one that said Colin Farrell was, let me see, what's the headline? It's the Batman Colin Farrell's Penguin was inspired by Fredo in The Godfather, which I was like, hell yeah, that's amazing. Just thinking about all this stuff that Matt Reeves is doing, kind of putting these things into these characters instead of just making them be like these side characters. He's actually kind of putting them like going through things that characters from past movies have gone through. He has something that they could go look at and try to see, like, this is what you're going through in this world of this Gotham of Batman and all that. So, and it's something I've been hearing about a while, like a few months ago too, because there was talk about Colin Farrell having a show of the Penguin out there, a spin-off and all that. And recently it was announced that yes, he is going to get a spinoff, I think on HBO Max, about the Penguin. And I remember a few months ago they were talking about how it's going to be inspired by the gangster films. I'm not sure if it was just Scarface, the original Scarface, or the Brian De Palma Scarface, which both are amazing. I love the Brian De Palma one. I love the Howard Hawks and Paul Muni one. So right there, you're already getting that vibe that, oh, cool. And then even in the trailer, the last one that came out, I remember when I reacted to it there, I was like, I in my head, I was kind of like, why does he sound kind of familiar? And to me, he sounded like Robert De Niro. And later on, I figured it out. I'm like, who does he sound like? I was like, I kept hearing that voice, and I'm like, he sounds like somebody. And then I figured it out. I'm like, oh, he sounds like Robert De Niro from like his old past films. And then someone mentioned that something about the Untouchables also. So that's amazing. Just that headline got me excited because I'm like, sweet. I'm like, Paul Dano's gonna be like inspired. It's inspired by the Zodiac Killer. Freaking the Penguin. It's gonna be like a gangster, you know, he's gonna be like a kingpin and all that. And me thinking about it, I was like thinking about today because I was gonna go back to my DVD review and all that, the movies that I have. And since I haven't done them in a while because I've been doing these other movies that I've been buying and these unboxings and all that. And I was gonna go back to my collection, and the next one that's on my list that I have to watch is Bonnie and Clyde. So yeah, but I was asking people whether I should do that on Bonnie and Clyde right now, the review, or should I just talk about this news that came out, and they recommended that me talk about the Batman right now, which because I was kind of excited about it. So that's amazing that he's gonna be inspired by Fredo in The Godfather too. Also, that's just great because The Godfather is an amazing trilogy. I mean, the first one, the second one, I guess, yeah, the third one you can say kind of goes into an action type of film. The second one's a great film. I remember when I got stuck not being able to watch the second one because we had the first one, the second, and the third one on VHS. But I think my mom let someone borrow it, and I could never find the second one, so I never found the second one. I was always watching the first one and the third one, and I always wanted to watch the second one, but it was never in the house. And then eventually I bought it and I saw it, or I rented it too. I have it now, but I'm glad that I didn't because the second one is actually a really great film, and it's good to have it fresh in your mind, like not knowing what's gonna happen and all that, you know, because you haven't seen it so many times. So I thought that was great, and because it's an amazing film, and Fredo, the character Fredo, throughout from 1 to 2 is just amazing. And let's see what it says here. Right here it says there's a touch of John Cazale. John Cazale's an amazing actor. Was that Dog Day Afternoon? Which one is it called? No, that's not The French Connection. There's something, yeah, unless it's The Connection or something like that. It's with Gene Hackman. There's another amazing film with John Cazale with I think it's actually directed by Francis. No, is this Francis Ford Coppola? Yeah, I think it's Francis Ford Coppola. Also, I think it's directed by him too. He's an amazing actor, and yeah, it says there's a touch of John Cazale as Fredo in The Godfather. He's a mid-level mobster, and he's got a bit of a showmanship to him, but you can see that he wants more, and that he's being underestimated. He's ready to make his move. Yeah, so he seems like he's gonna be trying to improve himself in this film. You know, maybe he's under the wing of Carmine Falcone, and he has to prove a lot right there. You know, so that's kind of what's gonna bring him more into the seriousness of the Penguin being this kind of like mobster, gangster type of character. Matt Reeves mentioned Fredo to me because Fredo's crippled by insignificance that he lives within, in a family that is full of very strong, very bright, very capable, very violent men, which is why he commits the act of betrayal that he does, because he's weak, he's kind of broken, and he's in pain. There's kind of fracture at the core of Oz, which fuels his desire and his ambition to rise within this criminal cabal. Where the rise goes, I would love to get to explore that in the second film if that ever happens. See, even just thinking about this, I'm like, damn, I hope his arc is so interesting in the Batman. I love when characters, especially I love it when the writer, the director, they don't just focus on, like, you know, the main stars as their character. They're actually focusing on every character, because that's important. Everyone should play an important role when you're making a movie, not just putting them there just to put them there because you want to. You know, you got to give them an arc, a story there, so we can feel for them and all that. And I'm really this is getting my attention, and it's why I'm kind of looking forward really to this film of Colin Farrell as the Penguin too, is because it seems like he's going to have an interesting arc here, and I really want to see how that flies. There's a few of these, and the next one that came up was Catwoman Zoe Kravitz was actually watching cat fights to actually learn how to fight and how to like put that into her skills for the movie, her performance of seeing how cats actually get down and lions and all that. So I kind of found it funny, but it's kind of cool that she's doing that. You know, maybe there's a way that they can add it to humans to make it be like a cat fight and all that, which is cool because when you see the animated films, you always see her being kind of slick and all that, the way she moves around and all that. Even the way they draw her in the comics too, she has this kind of feature to her of representing this cat likeness to it. So I'm glad that Zoe Kravitz is actually doing that, and I'm pretty sure she feels like she has to, because there's been many people, strong actresses that have portrayed her, like Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway. and I'm really looking forward to her performance. I like her, and I'm glad that she actually got the part. You know, it's reminded me a lot of Batman Year One, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna do a great job in the Batman. So what's pretty cool about this film, there's the other article where Robert Pattinson talks about how he has mapped out this like trilogy of the psychology of Bruce Wayne, how it could go on throughout 1, 2, and 3, and which is kind of interesting because here they talked about how this is Batman after like 2 years of fighting. He's still a young Bruce Wayne, but it's probably already been like 2 years of him being Batman. So we don't have to go back to the whole origin thing, I believe, but we're already in there. Just you still young with him. And recently they had announced, which is kind of funny because you know the trailer, the first one that came out, they released the Nirvana song to it, Something in the Way in the trailer, which was amazing to the trailer. But I thought that was just the music that they added for the trailer. Turns out Matt Reeves was actually listening to Nirvana and ended up using Kurt Cobain as an inspiration for Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, about him being like this recluse and all that. To me, I was like, I don't know. But I know I have like Nirvana fans, so I sent it to a few people that are Nirvana fans, my friends, and they just were not for it. They're like, no, like don't. So I was like, I just knew they weren't gonna like it, so I just sent it to them. Like, hey, look, and I knew they were just gonna talk some smack on it. But yeah, I don't know about that. I'm just really hoping. I'm okay with the Nirvana song in the freaking trailer, but I'm hoping that we're not gonna listen to Nirvana in like the Batman film at all. I hope we get thrown into a whole different world and not connected to our world that much, so we could escape everything. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. He said that it was went back to Gus Van Sant's The Last Days, which was another film that was kind of basically loosely based, I think, on Kurt Cobain's Last Days. So yeah, and I guess he's not gonna be like I think this is what he said. He's like he's gonna be more of a recluse than a playboy. So he's probably not gonna be a playboy in this one. He's gonna be more like this person that's kind of like hiding around and kind of holding all this anger or something in there. So yeah, it has to do with something like that he talked about. But yeah, Robert Pattinson talked about how he knows where he wants to go for like 2 more movies to do it as a trilogy, which I have to wait and see this movie to see if I actually want to see the second one and the third one. But just thinking about the way Matt Reeves is investing into these characters a lot, like, you know, Riddler inspired by the Zodiac Killer, the Penguin inspired by Fredo and the Godfather, you know, not being appreciated enough and all that, you know, him kind of wanting to be on the top and all that. It's just amazing for it to bring in this drama and to see like the flaws of these characters and all that. And then Zoe Kravitz can't say much right now other than that she's watching videos for the cat fights and all that, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be something interesting with her, and I can't wait to see her take as Catwoman. Matt Reeves also talked about how he insisted on this not being a DCEU film, which is great because it's going to stand on its own, just like Todd Phillips' Joker film that has the black DC label, I think. And yeah, I guess this is what I was thinking of, because I remember I think I talked about last time about how Ben Affleck was going to do a film, The Batman, and he was going to direct it. And I was kind of excited for it because I was like, hell yeah. But I think Ben Affleck he's a great director. He's one of my favorite directors. I know he didn't do good in one of his last ones, which I haven't seen because of that, because I heard about the reviews. I was like, oh, I won't watch it then. I think it had to do with the mob too, the Prohibition era. I forgot what it was called. But Argo, Gone Baby Gone, The Town, those are great films by Ben Affleck, which I love. And then I remember he said he wasn't going to do it because he wanted to focus on Batman. He wasn't going to be able to handle directing and being able to focus on his character, his role as an actor, as playing the part of Bruce Wayne and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, he's going to go. So I was like, let's see who's going to come direct. And then I think Matt Reeves came in and I'm like, oh, hell yeah, if it's Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck, that's amazing. But then Ben Affleck gets kind of basically kicked out. And then Matt Reeves takes it on. And right here, you finally find out that he told him that, you know what, I want it to be focused on a younger Bruce Wayne. And I don't want it to be connected on anything else because I want it to be kind of personal. You know, he doesn't want to get that whole bringing in the bigger universe and all that type of thing, which is amazing because then I don't think we would have got a trailer like the one that we got by Matt Reeves is The Batman. So yeah, and then so I read all these articles, and then like 30 minutes after, it's just all good news for me. They bring out the motion poster of Batman, his face with this cowl, and then like the Riddler's insignia right there around it, like outlining of the cowl of Batman, which is just freaking badass, and there's sound to it with the sirens going on and everything. And it just made me so excited to just, I want to watch that film so bad right now. I can't wait to watch it. I really wish they would have interviewed John Turturro. I'm pretty sure they will in a little bit, probably. But I really wish that I would have heard something about John Turturro's character and then maybe Andy Serkis too. Um, Peter Sarsgaard too. I'm not sure because I think people are talking about that he might not even make it. He's probably the one that's already wrapped up in the head and all that with the tape. So, but I just wish we could get more details of what these characters are inspired by and all that. And this was just great news because you've seen how they're really being creative and actually developing a good story, not just developing a Batman movie just to make a Batman movie and just to have the Batman characters in it. You know, they actually want to give them all an arc in the story. And so that's just amazing. That's what catches my attention and makes me more excited. And I love Matt Reeves from what he did with the Cloverfield, with the Planet of the Apes, the last two ones. I'm glad that he's directing this. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I wanted to bring that up. If you guys enjoyed my video, please hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.